Perimenopause is the new it girl. I love it.
It's the new it girl. It's the new popular girl at the party.
And the reason why I think it's having a moment right now is that women had been terribly dismissed and gaslit during this transition. We were told, be lucky you still have a period, or you're not having hot flashes or low libido yet, then you're fine. It's just aging or it's your fault. Like that was very much the narrative. And I think women are like, they're demanding better. They're demanding to be heard. They're demanding a different level of care, a gold standard of care. And that is why I think everyone is talking about it.
Hello, my friends. Welcome back to another episode of Better with Dr. Stephanie. 'Tis me, your host, as always, Dr. Stephanie Estima. And today I am joined with my friend, Dr. Mariza Snyder. We are talking all about perimenopause. And this is an episode that you want to listen to if you feel like you have been overwhelmed by all of the infobesity that is out there. You see people online arguing about, is this exercise better? Is that exercise? Is zone 2? Is it zone 5? Is it oats? Is it not oats? Are legumes trying to steal all your nutrients from you? Whatever it is, what I often find is that women are now spending more time trying to parse through truths rather than actually taking any action. And this conversation is filled with action. So we were very intentional when we were having this conversation to talk about theories, to talk about what are some of the physiology and what some of the things that are happening to our bodies in midlife, but also what are the key takeaways here. So if you are feeling overwhelmed and stuck, this is going to be a really great episode for you to listen to that is going to give you stuff that you can do today. Literally, maybe even while you are listening to the podcast, you can start implementing some of the strategies that we talk about. So if you haven't heard of Dr. Mariza, she is an advocate for midlife women. She has been in 17 plus years as a practitioner, an author, and a speaker, and she wants to spark a massive movement for women in perimenopause and beyond. She is also a podcaster. She has a top-rated podcast called Energized with Dr. Mariza, and she is a trusted guide offering science-backed solutions for perimenopause and metabolic health. So we talk today about movement, we talk about bones, we talk about speed and power, we talk about sleep, we talk about friendships, we talk about stress and how to identify it in midlife and what it does to us. This episode is chock full of great takeaways and action items, most importantly. So without further delay, please enjoy my conversation with Dr. Mariza Snyder. And I believe we are live. Dr. Mariza Snyder, my dear friend, welcome back to the show.
Dr. Stephanie Estima, thank you for having me, girl.
What is this now? Is this your third appearance? Fourth? I think third or fourth appearance on the show.
It could be third or fourth, which I cannot tell you how deeply grateful I am to get to be back on the show and to get to see your beautiful face.
Oh, thank you. We've been spending lots of time together recently around your upcoming book, The Perimenopause Revolution. So
yes.
Talk to us a little bit about it. Talk to us a little bit about what I wanted to talk to you about. There's a lot of conversation online about perimenopause. It seems like, there's a new coach every week. Everyone's like, I'm a perimenopause.
Perimenopause is the new it girl. I love it.
It's the new it girl. It's the new popular girl at the party. So talk to us about some of the changes in perimenopause. I know that you talk a lot about metabolic health and how we can sort of set ourselves up for success in those years, those 5 to 10 to 15 years in perimenopause. So talk to us a little bit about metabolism.
The continuum.
Yeah, the big continuum.
The
talk
career.
To us about it.
Yes.
Career, yeah. My career right now is managing my perimenopause, right? Yeah.
Well, I want to just celebrate the fact that it is having a moment. And the reason why I think it's having a moment right now is that women had been terribly dismissed and gaslit during this transition. We were told, be lucky you still have a period, or you're not having hot flashes or low libido yet, then you're fine. It's just aging or it's your fault. Like that was very much the narrative. And I think women are like, they're demanding better. They're demanding to be heard. They're demanding a different level of care, a gold standard of care. And that is why I think everyone is talking about it. I feel like it's a collective outrage of like, how was this transition dismissed? Like, how did we not know about it? And that's why I feel like this movement is happening. This book that I wrote, The Perimenopause Revolution, is really about perimenopause being a window of opportunity. because it is a window of vulnerability, but more importantly, a window of metabolic opportunity. And when I think about metabolism, I think about our life force. I think about that every thought and everything that we do is really reliant on the quality of our cellular energy. And the time where we're most vulnerable is going to be in perimenopause as our hormones begin to erratically decline. The caveat is without permission. Without permission. Nobody asked for this. I didn't say one day, you know what, estrogen, maybe just don't show up to the party anymore. And let's see what happens. Like, no, thank you. I would love for her to just keep doing what she does consistently every day. But no, that's not the inevitability of it. She's going to decline. And as a result, our entire body is going to go through a massive remodeling. That protective shield is going to falter. And as a result, we become vulnerable. And luckily, there's so much that we can do to course correct. And that's what this book is all about.
Yeah, I think to your point around maybe collective outrage, I think that what has happened for the longest time is if your conversations with your provider are not around getting pregnant or reproduction, everything was kind of dismissed, right? So even, women who didn't have, if you were having the hot flashes or you weren't having any of the things that you were describing, if it wasn't in the context of getting pregnant, it was like, well, it's like you're aging. That's kind of what happens. You've already had your kids. And I think that we're more than, certainly being a mother is by far the most, it is the best personal development course I have ever enrolled in.
What a journey.
Yeah. But just because I'd like to say the shop is closed, just because we are not going to be having any more children together doesn't mean that my reproductive health or the hormones that are related to that are any less important. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was talking to my almost 5-year-old, my 4.5-year-old. So I had a son in perimenopause. And yesterday he sat me down and he's like, Mama, I would love a baby sister. I would love a baby sister. And because I want to have her in a bunk bed with me.
Aww,
it was so
him.
sweet.
Yeah.
And I was like, how do I tell him that Mama can't have children at this point, at this age anymore. It was so sweet. But I kind of really broke down what it meant to have all of the love and all of the attention from mom and dad, and how special that was, and how, with a sibling, although it's lovely, that level of attention and energy will be spent on them as well. So I kind of was giving him a reframe.
Yeah, that's so funny. Actually, my youngest son has done the same. So my oldest son, he has a younger sibling, right? So he has literally he's no desire for any more.
Yeah.
But my younger son's like, I want to be a big brother. I'm like, that would mean that you're not the baby anymore, and you would get less attention from mama. And he was like, really? I'm like, yeah. And then my attention would be divided into 3 instead of 2. And he was like, huh. And he said, he was like, huh.
The wheels
Never
were turning.
considered that. Never considered
Well, and then I told him, I'm
before.
like, you'll be almost 10 years old by the time your baby sister would be in a bunk bed with you.
Yeah.
By the time it all works itself out,
Yeah.
it's going to be a while.
Yeah.
I said, and I'm not sure if you're going to feel the same way then that you feel right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I think there's a lot, you're an example. I have many friends who are examples of women who are having children later in life for whatever reason, right? Whatever, if it's career or just the inability, not having a desire to have children until later, whatever it is. And so what we're finding now, and I find this a lot in my community, and I'm sure you're seeing this in yours, and especially as a woman who's done this herself, having a child in perimenopause, it's like, which one is it? Which symptom? Is it postpartum? Is it because I just, was pregnant for 9 months and then delivered and then have the 2 years of, and maybe more of, that healing that has to happen, postpartum, nutritionally, energetically, physically, pelvic floor, all the things. And so I'm finding that a lot of women, at least in my community, are like, I'm not sure which one it is. I have young children. I decided to have children later in life. And is it perimenopause? Is it not? So what are some of the ways that you like to maybe tease out?
Distinguish?
Yeah, distinguish between postpartum symptoms, let's say, and something that might be more indicative of perimenopause. Or is there just a lot of crossover there is a lot of crossover, but how do we sort of piece together what is happening for us?
Stephanie, I love this question because there are so many women having children in their late reproductive years or even in perimenopause for a multitude of reasons. For instance, I always say that I am standing on the shoulders of my mom who fought so hard to just be in the room, to just be, in like a CEO position or a COO position. And, she had me when she was 19 years old. And here I am I had my first and only child at 41 years old. And it was because I could create this career and I could have this purpose and this dream and this vision. And, I waited. I was very intentional. I remember being 38 years old and getting diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroiditis. And I decided that I was going to take a whole year to reverse those symptoms and to get my antibodies into range to basically put that autoimmune condition into remission. And it took the whole entire year of 38 to almost 40 years old to do so, because it was at the end of being 30. I was almost 39 years old when I got diagnosed. I remember it was because I was running full lab panels, everything, because I was getting ready to prime up to get pregnant at 39. Took the whole year off, started at 40, ended up actually miscarrying with that first baby. And whether it was genetics or low progesterone levels, again, I was 40 years old at the time. I ended up getting on oral micronized progesterone, got pregnant 3 months later with my son Kingston, and stayed on that progesterone until I was in my second trimester. Because again, I was in perimenopause trying to get pregnant. So even that journey in its own right, just priming up to conceive at that age, poses its own being intentional. I wouldn't say its own challenges, but just being really intentional. Like I didn't just hope I was going to get pregnant. Like I really prepared to get pregnant. And then on the back end of that, obviously we know that postpartum is going to be one of those big times where we are in a major neuroendocrine transition. We talk about mommy brain and all the changes that are happening to the brain. And we still don't know to the degree that our brain massively transforms to become a mother. But any mother will tell you who they are as a mother is an entirely different individual than who they were before becoming a mom, right? We know that the brain and all of the physiological processes are pronounced and so obvious when we're on the other side. And in that low hormone state, gosh, women can struggle with depression and obviously this lack of sleep, like that is like guaranteed for postpartum and all the things that are changing. And so, yeah, it can really be difficult to discern and tease out, is this still postpartum a year and a half out, 2 years out when you're 43 or 42 years old? Or is this beginning to be perimenopause? And I think for so many women, as they step out of those 2 years of postpartum, because I would say that it felt like 2 years for me. Like I felt like I finally turned a corner when Kingston was 2. I had about a 4-month runway, give or take. And then these new, but also very familiar symptoms began to take hold. I started to feel a lack of mental energy, physical energy. I was burning out after workouts again. I was noticing sleep issues all over again, mood changes. I just began to not feel like myself anymore. And initially, because I had kind of forgot what it felt like to not be in postpartum, the 2 years prior to that, I started to, I think what a lot of women will do is like, okay, well, what has happened to me in the past where these symptoms have felt familiar? Is it that I am deregulating my stress response system? Am I burning myself out? Is my thyroid antibodies up? Am I actually having a Hashimoto's flare? What could it be? And I remember running labs 3 separate times in 6 months, trying to discern and connect the dots between my symptoms and it being perimenopause. And as you and I both know, there's no definitive test for perimenopause. There's no defining moment where perimenopause announces itself that hormones are declining, because it can be so erratic and inconsistent. It's really hard to pinpoint. And so I know a lot of women that I've worked with, a lot of my patients who happen to be moms who had children in late reproductive years or early perimenopause, who feel like it was just one big continuum, that there was never a break, that they just went from postpartum straight into peri, or often maybe they had a good couple of months and then they moved into these other symptoms. And so I would say the number one thing I would tell women, whether they're trying to discern if it's perimenopause or postpartum, is 1, track your menstrual cycle. And I will tell you, Stephanie, that it took me almost 2 years to get my menstrual cycle back postpartum. Like I was breastfeeding my son until he was 2.5 years old.
Right,
But
right.
yeah, so it took a while to figure that out. So, but once my menstrual cycle came back online, I was tracking it, the follicular phase, the luteal phase, ovulation. I was like, am I even ovulating anymore? Like what's going on? And it was because I was able to track my symptoms along with my cycle that I find can be a clear sign that you're in peri, that those symptoms are cyclical, but they're just more exacerbated than maybe what you've experienced with your menstrual cycle in the past. And so it was those cyclical changes, not real big changes in my menstrual cycle per se, but symptoms that correlated with the late luteal phase that I finally realized that I was in perimenopause. And so that would be a good indicator of like, are these symptoms consistent or are they more cyclical in nature? That could identify postpartum versus perimenopause.
Yeah. And I think the other thing to keep in mind for anyone listening who's like, yeah, I just had a baby and I'm 44 or 41 or whatever it is that it's the three P's, right? It's like the puberty, pregnancy, perimenopause. There's a lot of commonalities there. So I remember after giving birth to my children, having hot flashes, like waking up and like the bed was soaking wet. My hair was falling out. I was crying at commercials. Like I didn't, I was like, what, who am I? Don't even know who I am. And I was sleep deprived. So all the things sort of coming together. So know that there's going to be some
overlap
in terms of the symptoms for sure. And
it's a low hormone state. I will say that early peri, it's not necessarily a low hormone state. It's an erratic state. It just feels erratic. But postpartum for sure is a low progesterone, low estrogen state, and initially. Plus, just bringing that baby in is going to completely disrupt your lifestyle habits, all the things that you were more consistent on. Now you've got this new baby, and it all kind of goes out the window. And so I think it's a cacophony of multiple things. One, lifestyle strategies that are maybe like you're not lifting heavy in the gym right now, at the beginning of postpartum.
Right.
You're maybe not even moving your body consistently the way that you were doing, but also that neuroendocrine transition is so vast. And I will say that those are very much the hallmarks between perimenopause and postpartum are the brain related symptoms that can really be hard to tease out. And I have a feeling that, unfortunately, it's just a lack of research that we have. We don't have a lot of research on women in postpartum and perimenopause, but that hormones disrupted, whether it's postpartum or peri, are going to feel very similar.
Yeah, and it's kind of a newer phenomenon. Like you were mentioning, your mom had you at 18, 19. Yeah, so it's more of a recent thing where women are waiting to, whether it's settle down, get married, career establishment, desire, whatever it is, what we're seeing now that more and more women are waiting. And I think for me, when I first had my children, I was not lifting heavy. I was going for walks with the baby. I was just getting some sunlight. I was doing pelvic floor rehab because that was necessary. I had two very large children. Even if you don't have large children, you
still need it. Yeah,
you still need to do it. So that was kind of my exercise-ish, and then it was, then I would start layering on. Maybe I got on a rebounder when I felt like my pelvic floor was strong enough to handle that. And then you sort of progress from there. So if we're talking about this in the context of perimenopause, you have women who have had children or not, and they've just been busy. Life has been lifing, and they're looking to think about how can I dial up some of the lifestyle changes that are easy, low barrier to entry. I don't need to maybe I don't want to join a gym right now, or maybe I don't want to do some very complicated routine. What are some ways that we might think about incorporating necessary movement to heal and to become stronger, but we're not necessarily ready for the barbell, the barbell back squats and grunting and making sex noises in the gym. Because if you're not making sex noises in the gym, you're not lifting heavy enough. Yeah. What are you even doing?
I agree. I was back in the gym at 5 weeks, 6 weeks, because I've always been in the gym. Yeah. The second I got approval, I was in the gym.
Wow.
I've been in the gym since I was 16 years old. The gym is my sacred
You were lifting
ground.
weights, but you were lifting weights? Wow. Okay. Okay. So
again,
talk to...
I wanted to share that because I just wanted to open the door for what is possible. Like, because some women, they're able to get back, 6 weeks out once they got clearance to get back in the gym. And I was like, let's do this. And I had a gym built into my garage. I had a personal trainer. This was during COVID. I had Kingston in 2020. And so I had my personal trainer on Zoom working me out in my garage. So I wasn't going into the gym, but it was nice to have someone who was walking me through workouts. Again, maybe it's available. I'm just going to put it out there that it could be available.
I took my sweet ass time. Like, there's no right answer here. I took my sweet time. I was like, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready. And then when I was ready, but okay.
No, be ready. But at the very least, I mean, again, this is the through line of the book. And I know that I'm not talking about postpartum and perimenopause in the book. I'll be honest with you. I don't. But I do talk a lot about movement. Movement is built in all over this book because I believe that we need to build our lives around movement. Postpartum, pregnancy, wherever you are in the journey, movement is going to help your digestive system. It's going to help you regulate your stress response system. It's going to help you balance your blood sugar, which is so important, whether you're pregnancy, postpartum, perimenopause, any time in your life. Having optimal blood sugar, I think, is so important. It's more so, I think about it as optimal cellular energy. And a really great gauge of good cellular energy is having good managed blood sugar. I think that those go hand in hand. And so movement is one of the biggest needle movers, whether it's walking or exercise snacks or a couple of squats here, a couple of push-ups here, like just being physically active throughout the day, I think is one of the most important things that we can do for any phase of our lives to feel alive, to feel energized, to have good deep sleep, to have good mental clarity, and overall have a good metabolic system, right? Have good cellular energy across the board. And so whatever that looks like for you, if it's yoga, if it's mobility, if it's walking, if it's dancing, whatever, like getting where you fit in. For me, when postpartum and pregnancy, I lifted in the gym until 38 weeks. I was in the gym. So I trained all the way. I remember my first trimester at 40 years old. I mean, Alex was pushing me up a hill. I had nothing in the tank. Like I was like, I need a boost. Like, could you get me up the hill? Because we lived in San Diego, it was just it was in La Jolla, and it was all hills. Like out the door of my house, there was no solid, like flat path. Either I was going up a hill or I was going down a hill, which meant I had to go back up that hill.
You had to go back up the hill eventually.
Yeah, right. There was no getting away from climbing a hill in my area. And so I remember, being, 10 weeks pregnant, just like him shoving me up this hill, the hardest part of the hill. And so the point is that no matter what, I was building in movement every single day. Like movement has been, for me, the number one way to relieve stress, they just feel like connected to my body, and to just feel like I'm a person, like I'm a real person, to feel okay in my body. And so, again, and I don't know if that translates for every woman listening. I have a feeling your demographic feels the exact same way, that if they're not moving, they're thinking to themselves, like, I don't feel okay in my body. Like my body needs movement. And so getting where you fit in, whatever feels good for you, just move in a meaningful way so that you are getting all of the side benefits.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying, I really walked in the beginning. That's all I had capacity for. That's all I felt like I really could handle. And I think, we've talked about this before, and I'd love for you to maybe expand a little bit on this idea of exercise snacks. Like you've already touched on a little bit, like squats and push-ups and stuff. Like when we actually look at the science, there's actually some pretty good science comparing exercise snacks to continuous exercise. So like one long bout in the gym that might be 60 minutes or 45 minutes or 90, like however long it is. When intensity is equated between the two, they're actually the same. And in some cases, exercise snacks actually win in terms of, like, as you were saying, like the blood sugar regulation, in terms of body composition, in terms of energetic capacity and ATP production. So talk to us a little bit about exercise snacks, how they compare to like the one big session in the gym. And then some practical advice for people. So if we are thinking about, okay, so if you can't make it to the gym to do 60 minutes or 90 minutes or whatever it is, what are some of the alternatives that you can do in a way that can integrate some of this movement strategy that you're talking about into our lives?
Yeah, I want to start with the practical standpoint of things, because when I'm talking to your beautiful community, I know that these are high achieving, women that are holding a lot. They are running careers. they are running households, and they are running families. And I will tell you, there are days where I want to be walking after meals. I want to get that big workout in the morning. And some days it just doesn't work that way with a little child. And so this is kind of where I'm like, okay, where's the research? Where is the juice worth the squeeze? And, I remember growing up thinking I had the myth of you had to do the one big workout in the gym, the 15-minute workout or the 45-minute workout, or, nothing else was worth the while. I remember even, people would walk and I'm like, why walk when you could run? Like that was always the mindset of like, no pain, no gain. And I've had to really reframe the way that I think about movement as I've gotten older, because there's a lot of ways that we can get it in. But in terms of blood sugar stability, in terms of boosting your metabolic rate, and even building muscle, lean muscle, and ultimately supporting your overall longevity, the research on exercise snacks is so compelling, because what we know is that if I was doing this all day for 6 hours, which I actually am, I'm going to be in a car for 6 hours driving to Arizona. Like I pretty much negate that workout, that 50-minute workout, because I'm sitting all day living this sedentary life. But if I'm punctuating mini bursts of exercise, and I'm talking, when I think about exercise snacks, Stephanie, I'm thinking like mini HIIT training workouts that are 1 to 3 minutes or 1 to 5 minutes long. So when I'm thinking about an exercise snack, I'm thinking jump squats, I'm thinking jack squats, I'm thinking push-ups, I'm thinking switch lunges, I'm thinking walking up and down my stairs with weights. Something that's really getting my heart rate up, really help. I will tell you, I don't sweat, I glisten. I'm a glistener girl.
You glow.
I glow. I do not sweat. And I'm so grateful, because I could be in this outfit. I could do what I call it a 60 jump squat buy-in. So I do anywhere between 2 to 5 60 jump squat buy-ins throughout my day. Usually it's
65 times, 2 to 5 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so how I break it down is I do 20 jump squats in a minute or less than a minute. But I basically do 20 jump squats per minute. So in 3 minutes, I will knock out 60 jump squats, and I will do it before an interview, after an interview, after a meeting, definitely after meals, and 3 minutes, done. And I'm back to doing whatever else I'm doing throughout the day. And what I love about it is I can feel my heart rate revving. I can feel my metabolism getting boosted. My cardiometabolic health is increasing. And I put a continuous glucose monitor on multiple times out of the year. And I watch, especially post-meal, postprandial glucose. It'll just, girl, it is stable. It is optimized, and the number one reason why I do the 60 jump squat buy-in is, man, my brain is firing on all cylinders. I have energy in the tank. I sleep better at night. That zombie lull that you can have after sitting at your computer for too long, like do a couple jump squats. Well, 60, I'm talking about not a couple, I'm talking about 60. Do 60 jump squats and you're just back in the game. So to me, the benefits just are so incredible across the board. And we're talking 3 minutes. That's it, 3 minutes, and I am done. And there are definitely days where, as badly as I want to get in the gym, it just is impossible. But I know that I can build in these exercise snacks throughout my day as a working mom and still maintain good cardiometabolic fitness until I can get back in the gym to lift weights.
Yeah. And for me, I think that the biggest benefit is just what you said. When you're sitting at your desk after a while, I'm just flipping between tabs.
You're not even paying attention anymore.
I'm not even paying attention to it. I'm on Instagram and I'm supposed to be working. So I'm like, so when I get up and walk around, so what I do, working from home, I'll get up and I'll, put some, laundry, or I'll do a dishwasher thing or whatever.
Do some meat.
Yeah, do something. And I find that actually is a wonderful way for me to clear my head. I'm like, okay, yeah, I can get back to work and I can go back to the tab I was supposed to be on.
Exactly.
and actually work. So I like this idea of just a little bit of movement, and you're just going to flood the prefrontal cortex, the motor cortex, with some blood. An activity that's going to help you with that focus, which is what you're talking about. So
if you do those jump squats, like you kind of go hard and heavy for a couple minutes, you will feel those endorphins too. Like I always feel so good on the back end of that. And I will tell you, whether it's my trauma or it is how I'm built, I pride myself in efficiency and just getting stuff done. And so when I hit that lull and I still have a lot of deliverables that I want to get done for the day before I go into mom mode, doing that, again, many of us, we reach for coffee, we reach for a little something, maybe it's a treat, whatever it's going to take to get our energy back going at that 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock slump. But let me tell you, moving your body, doing a couple push-ups, doing some jump squats, even jack squats, get started getting where you fit in. Or, if you want something low impact, just walking around the block, but maybe do a speed walk around the block and then get back to it. And so I've trained myself, because we're always one thought away. We're one thought away of grabbing the snack. And not to say that there isn't anything wrong, but if it's not what you were trying to do and you're just kind of on autopilot, we are always one thought away from doing the thing that's going to really serve our body and maybe doing the thing that isn't going to serve our future self. And I will tell you, 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, like clockwork, some days my body's like, girl, a snack would be really nice right now. And I head down those stairs, I grab my sneakers, I grab my emotional support water, and I step outside and go for a walk.
And you know what? If you still want the snack after the walk, no problem. No problem. Then you really wanted it, right? But if it disappears after you do the 60, jump squats or what have you, it was just your body actually craving some movement. The other thing I want to say, which I love, I was just writing down some of the types of, so jump squats, jack squats, switch lunges. These are also training your type 2 muscle fibers, right? Yes. So these are going to keep power. So these are going to maintain power and speed, because in order to do 20 jump squats a minute, you need to be you need to be using these type 2 muscle fibers, which tend to atrophy. They're the first ones actually to go as we age.
Yeah, we lose power. Yeah, we lose power and we lose strength. Yeah, and speed. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we're bashing bones. Girl, I'm jumping.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And bones actually respond. I mean, you know this, like bones respond to impact. Yes. Like you can, I did a whole thing on, I mean, I love a good weighted vest, but I think that there's been some claims
I read all the emails. I mean,
there's
here's
some
the thing.
People that are like weighted vests are going to cure everything.
Everything.
Like,
no,
they can really help, especially for bones specifically, if you're jumping, if you're jumping. Using the weighted vest and you're jumping. So for example, if you have mastered what you're talking about, the 20 jump squats a minute or the split, the switch lunges, the jump, the jack squats, you can put a weighted vest on top of that and then amp up. So that's like it's an increased metabolic demand, and you're also going to be helping the bones. So that's another kind of benefit to what you're talking about too.
Absolutely. And what I was doing for a minute is I have obviously I have weights all over the house too. We have a gym in the garage, and I have a rack of from 50 all the way down to 12 in my bedroom. Nice. I mean, because here's the thing: if I leave my room, sometimes it's over. I can't. Yeah. I'm now in mom mode, and let me tell you, my son loves to watch me work out and jump. But like do things around, like jump squats. We do jump squats all over the house. But the second I get weights out, it's he wants to get the weights. He wants to play with the weights. All of a sudden, now I'm negotiating with his child whether I can do squats or not. Please don't drop the weight on your foot. Exactly. So now I'm in mom mode, and I'm having anxiety about this child getting hurt with my weights. And so I keep it all in the bedroom. As long as the bedroom's shut, it's my time, and I can be very intentional with 15 to 20 minutes where I'm just focusing on lower body or upper body. It's amazing when you are just in the zone, how much you can get done in 20 minutes. And how 20 minutes is just a very small amount of time. A lot of us are scrolling for 20 minutes, like just to carve out that 20 minutes. So everything is in the bedroom. And what I was doing is I have weights by my office, like literally there's 15 pounds weights right here. There's 20 pounds by my other desk. And I was doing my buy-in, my 60 jump squat buy-in with a front loaded 20 pound weight.
Yeah.
But what was happening when I was doing these, 3 times a day, I was feeling it on my knees. Okay. So I was like, okay, girl's only 46. Like I'm trying to do these jump squats every day for years. So I actually backed off with the weight. Because if I'm doing that many, so what I'll do is I'll do one 60 rep set with the 20 pound weight, and then the rest of them for the rest of the day, I do not use the weight. Perfect. So something to consider when you are doing the weighted vest is see what just be mindful of your joints and your tendons, and just let's listen to your body. if wearing that weighted vest gets you outside walking more, clocks more steps, I am a full body yes to it. But I don't want women to think that just wearing a weighted vest is the end all be all, is the magic bullet to maintaining great muscle mass, maintaining great bone mass and bone density. I don't want you to think that that is the number one thing that's going to preserve your muscle, bone, and your longevity, because it's not. Like we need to be lifting weights.
Yeah.
We need to be doing plyometrics and HIIT training, and most importantly, sprint training.
I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah. I mean, yes to all of that, because I think if you can't, we can talk all about split squats and jack squats. And if you don't have knees, you can't squat.
No.
So we have to really be thinking about, and this is I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I will make joints sexy. Like I want, like, 'cause muscle's really sexy. Everyone wants muscle, right? We got to make joints and ligaments sexy.
Muscles are so sexy. I'm going to stick with the muscles. I think just movement is sexy. I was thinking about you this week. I went to Pilates, and girl, I
love it.
I know. Yeah, I love Pilates, but if I had to choose, and I am in a season, I'm on a book launch season. That's why I'm on this podcast right now, where I'm in a season where I got to be really intentional and discerning about the type of movement that I'm building into my day, because I don't have a lot of time. And I will tell you, it felt like it felt like a treat. The Pilates class felt like a treat. Mm-hmm. It didn't feel like a non-negotiable for me per se. It was more of a self-care strategy. And yes, I will tell you that Pilates does challenge me, because I've been a gym rat since I was 16 years old. I've been lifting weights for decades, and that is what my body is. I am so clunky. Like, I never would have been a ballerina, let me tell you. I am the girl that they're constantly, fixing. And I'm like, I'm not, there's areas where I'm in the Pilates class, which I'm not there very often, but I'm just like, man, I should be doing some RDLs right now. Like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, no, I will always choose weights. So I'm with you there. I will always choose, if I had to choose between Pilates and weightlifting, it's strength training every damn day. And I think that when we are thinking about, so there's myself included, when we're thinking about pelvic floor health and core, I think that it's a great add-on. But the base, if you were thinking about like, what is the Maslow's hierarchy for working out for women in midlife? It's like, it's got to be weights at the bottom. Pilates makes the list, but she comes after there is a very sort of set in stone habit and ritual around weightlifting, strength training, cardio, and mobility. And then, Pilates is in there as well. Yeah.
So I just wanted to just mention that, because I was thinking about you, and I know that you go and do, I just want everyone to hear that, Stephanie is going and doing Pilates. And so I was thinking about you. One of my best friends is a Pilates instructor. And so I have a lot of deep respect for it. But like, again, my time is limited. And most of the time, as much as I even want to get to the gym, I'm usually training in my home, and just making sure it's quality, when I'm doing it.
One of the things you said that I just want to highlight is, I love that you have things scattered throughout your house. I used to have this like psychological barrier that my house needed to look like some kind of Instagram, like nobody lived in it and it was perfect. And I have recently been like, what am I doing? So
that is not helpful for us as busy moms. That it doesn't work.
I really love that you have your weights everywhere. So I recently have brought so I had a bike in the basement and I was like never using it. So now I brought it up to where the family hangs out and I do the bike. I'll do like a little sprint, like little.
Are you doing the Carol bike in the living room?
Yeah, it's the Carol bike. Girl. Yeah, I got the Carol bike in the living room. I have a
Carol bike. I have my Peloton in the bedroom. The Carol bike is because we have the sauna and the big weight rack inside of the garage. The Carol bike is in the garage. So I love a lot of the research around strength training and then some cardio on the back end. I typically like to do a walk after a strength. If I can get it, if I can do it, if I've got the time, I will do like a 30-minute set and then I will go and take a walk because it's just nice. But if I don't have that I don't have a 10-minute gap to do a walk, I will hop on that Carol bike and knock out a 5-minute sprint, or basically 2 20-second sprints.
220, like the whole workout. Sometimes I'll do that before a meeting. The whole program is like 8 minutes. It's so easy. And I don't sweat.
It's more than an exercise snack. Like that, especially if it's in the house. So yes, ladies, if you're thinking to yourself, should I not have the kettlebell in the living room, or the 20-pound weights in the living room, or no, have it everywhere you freaking need to have it so that you're getting it done. Particularly if you are watching Netflix after dinner, or you're chilling, this is the time to do the mobility. This is the time to do the stretching. This is the time to knock out your exercise snack routine.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Yeah, that's why we made the family room sort of into this like health and wellness. We have the
Yeah.
bike, I have a vibration plate in there, I have my mobility stuff, like all my rehab stuff from the clinic. So it just becomes this really a family activity. Like I'm stretching my quads, my kids using like the bond, like we have like there's a company I work with, Bond Charge. They have massage guns, so that like he'll be like rubbing out his IT band or whatever. So okay, so we've talked about exercise snacks. I actually just want to pivot if we can. So we've been talking a little bit about the importance of movement. What are some of the other areas that women in perimenopause want to be thinking about? So I know that you talk a lot about stress. You've mentioned a couple of times in our conversation today around the impact that stress can have, but really just lay it out for people, because I think that stress is still this very ethereal, like non-tangible, like, oh, I'm stressed. So what does stress do, particularly when we're thinking about our hormones, our mood and our mood regulation, our ability to show up as mothers, our ability to sleep? Like, what are some of the knock-on effects if we are not managing stress appropriately? And then again, just because you are so great at actionable sort of takeaways, what are some tangible things that have worked for you, for patients, your community, that you have found to be really helpful in managing the stress sandwich that kind of is midlife?
I think that's perfect the way that you said that, the stress sandwich, the messy middle. I will tell you, we talk about the silent killer being hypertension, which it absolutely is. Please keep your eye on your blood pressure because it will creep throughout perimenopause potentially for you. And so it's important to be looking at that. But I think about the most insidious, silent killer is going to be that chronic stress that's become so chronic that we don't even recognize it anymore, that it just gets built into the fabric of who we are and the way that we live our lives. And I will say that I find that stress is really the tipping point. People ask me all the time, how is it that perimenopause is having a moment now when women didn't really know it was going on several generations ago? And I'd say two things. Number one, that if we only considered perimenopause skipped periods of more than 60 days, and it was hot flashes, night sweats, sleep issues, low libido, and vaginal dryness, well, man, the other 40 plus symptoms of perimenopause were just being written off as women getting older or stress or motherhood or whatever else we were kind of attributing these symptoms to, when it was perimenopause. We just weren't recognizing it as such. So number one. But number two, I think what is making perimenopause a little bit more intense, or the symptoms being more exacerbated, is the level of stress that women are under more today than ever before. As I talked about earlier, standing on the shoulders of my mother and what she's built, we are doing it all today, more than ever before. And there is this tipping point where, you feel steady, you feel sharp, you feel like you have it all together. The million tabs are open, yet you're handling those million tabs. And then those hormones begin to decline, and it can feel like a roller coaster ride where you don't recognize yourself anymore. But the thing that I think the underlying risk factor here is the constant stress that you were managing okay. You were managing all right until those whole body protective hormones began to falter. And then it feels like that foundation begins to crumble. What we know about stress, when we think about activating that stress response system, which is really in the brain, right? The HPA axis. So it's not adrenal fatigue that we're talking about. We're talking about the brain's response to a physical stress, an emotional stressor, life happening, right? Whether it's demands of as a mom, or it's career demands, it's timelines that you're trying to hit. My son was late to school drop off today. I'm just trying to get him off to school while I'm trying to get to a podcast interview and trying to pack us for a 6-day trip to Arizona. That's all happening right now today. And so life is happening to all of us. And what we have to realize is when we do end up upregulating cortisol, that co-elevates thyroid hormone, that co-elevates insulin hormone, that co-elevates overeating, consuming calories. It messes with our sleep. I mean, the underpinning of that survival hormone, when it is deregulated due to the onslaught of everyday life, it is a wear and tear hormone on your body. And what we'll see is women will notice more mood changes, more irritability. Perimenopause, I always say that your stress resilience, your stress tolerance just packs its bags and walks out the door without permission. Like all of a sudden we just have a more heightened awareness of the stresses and irritants in our lives. But ultimately what that lends to is more symptoms, more mood symptoms, more sleep symptoms, maybe even weight gain and inflammation. I was reading an article out of the Journal of Hormones. There was a 2009 article that looked at the result of chronic stress, and it talked about the co-elevation of the other hormones, but most importantly the co-elevation of inflammation in the body, and that it drives oxidative stress. And as a result, we do see these chronic conditions building over time. And so that's why I think perimenopause is such a window of vulnerability, is that it's co-elevating the stress response system along with hormones declining at the same time.
You were talking about stress as this thing that we don't even notice anymore because it's so pervasive. And when you were talking, it reminds me of, sometimes, I don't know if you ever do this, but there's something that needs to go upstairs. And so I'll just put it on the stairs.
Yes. Every day.
Hoping that someone will say, she wants that to go upstairs.
I don't think anyone's taking it.
I have a dying hope that I will put my son's, whatever it is,
bless your heart,
on the stairs, and he's going to take it upstairs. He never does. I end up taking it. But it's like you pass by that thing like 1,000 times in the day or in the week, right? And you just almost forget that it's there.
I don't forget.
But that's kind of that's what sort of I feel like chronic stress is. It's like this thing that you just get used to. It's just there. You kind of see it, but then it starts blending into the background, and then you lose the capacity to even recognize that seeing that little thing, all that, like the soccer ball or whatever it is for me, soccer dirty
the
socks
clutter on
or whatever,
the dining room table, whatever
all that
it is,
stuff,
right?
You don't realize that that's actually, every time you see it, you're like, God damn, I haven't done that thing yet. Like I haven't fixed that thing yet, right? So how do we get better at identifying what are some of maybe the smaller stressors, and then what are some of the bigger stressors, and then what can we do? I mean, maybe the bigger stressors, like I remember always in the clinic, it was like I would have to sit down with the patient. I'm like, listen, here's you have to leave your job.
Exactly.
You have to leave your husband or both.
Leave your job, leave your husband. So you're going to need to completely uproot your life.
Yeah.
Well, and this is the thing about perimenopause is it is the time of discernment. Yeah. All of a sudden we come into I always say that who you were coming into perimenopause is not who you're going to be heading into menopause and postmenopause, because all of a sudden everything is up for review. So how do we identify that we are even stressed when we are living this very full, big life? Number one, it's going to be sensations. It's going to be your body. Remember, your body keeps the score. Your body's going to cue you up. And so before it's even in your thoughts, you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling anxiety, usually it's a tightness. Like for me, I find that I'm quickly trying to solve problems that aren't even problems yet. So I'm in a very reactive state.
You're like Fruit Ninja. It's like the Fruit Ninja game. You're like, whew.
Yeah, you're like trying to solve. I'm like, am I really creating problems to solve problems right now? I have a mantra I want to just share with everybody that has been so profound for me, and that is, nothing is wrong. Nothing is wrong. Because, man, I can find...
Because it can feel like a lot is wrong. Yeah.
All the time. There's always something to solve. Especially if you're a problem solver, especially if you're CEO status or COO status, women are CEOs all the time of multiple areas of their lives. And so there's always problems to solve, including that soccer ball at the stairs. Yeah. That's a problem to solve. Yeah. Someone's got to get that upstairs. It looks like it's going to be you.
And I'm like, I wonder if he's going to walk by this time and bring it up. Nope. Okay. Next time?
Absolutely
no. And I just watches my heart just
do
like,
not see any of it. I'm like, do you not see the house right now?
Yeah.
Do you not see the kitchen? How do you walk? I
read something. I actually read something about clutter affecting women's stress. Mm-hmm. Like our levels of cortisol much more than men.
System. Yeah,
totally.
We see it. I always say the house is screaming at me. The house is always talking to me. Alex can just walk by, I'm like,
fine.
how do you do that? That is a superpower that is not programmed into my DNA.
Yeah.
I see everything out everywhere. And so it's really fascinating. So notice the physical sensations. Notice the shoulders creeping towards your neck and your ears. Notice the tightness, the contraction. That's where I'll notice all of a sudden everything contracts on me versus like feeling open. Right? So notice the contraction. Notice, are you snapping at everybody? Are you more irritated? Another thing is, are you sighing like you're exacerbated? Like my son's been doing this recently and I'm like, who did he get this from? Is it me? I'm like I'm just,
Like that's me. I taught him that.
You're sighing. Like you're most likely you're in a state of overwhelm and you've activated that stress response system. So then what do? Right? It's about the second, it's really about first identifying and becoming aware. Once you're aware, you can shift your state. And that's what's going to need to happen at this point, is to shift your state, right? We're not all gazelles. We can't just be running from tigers and all of a sudden sauntering back and trying to eat whatever's in the field. Like we need a minute to reset. And so changing that state for you could be shaking it out. It could be taking a walk outside. It could be doing a couple jump squats. It could be walking up and down the stairs. It could be doing the 4, 7, 8 breath, like whatever works for you, whatever can help you change your state. Another thing that I recommend is being preventative about this, and that is sending safety signals to the brain. One of the best ways that we can do this is bookmarking our day or bookending our day with evening and morning routines. It's really challenging to be thrown off your game or to go into this spiral of the stress response system when you are really intentional about your morning. You have a gratitude practice in place. You have movement snacks in place. You have breath in place, where you have built in a lot of what I call brain protective mechanisms, where you're telling the brain constantly, everything's good. We're okay. Everything's okay. We're moving our body. We're shifting our state. So I would build those in. And then the other thing, especially if you're in that state, connecting and boosting oxytocin. Oxytocin is like the only hormone that can trump cortisol. And so whether that's hugging your cat or a dog or your kids or a partner, or even just sending a voice memo to your bestie or calling a bestie, can boost oxytocin and also shift your state. So we know that when women have a chance to tend and befriend, it's one of the best ways that we can just kind of let all of that go. And so that's why one of the core pillars of the book, The Perimenopause Revolution, is building community, having those besties who understand what you're going through, who you can kind of just release whatever you've got going on. You can, I wouldn't call it complain or, but more so just kind of process with them. Even if it's in a 2-minute message while you're taking a walk. I will tell you, between walking and voice memoing my besties, that's probably my 2 best strategies for regulating my stress response system, which for me is automatic. I would say that my default mode is to go into a stress response state, a sympathetic nervous system state, more than it is designed to be in parasympathetic.
Yeah, and I like that mantra. I wrote it down. Nothing is wrong. I think that's another. It's like, all right, we're okay. We're not dying. Nothing is wrong. Yes, there's a soccer ball. Yes, there's whatever out in the kitchen, but nothing is wrong. And I like this idea. I have talked about this idea as well of community, and I think that I used to think I'm an island, like I'm just going to do it all myself. I'm a self-contained Hamlet. I don't need anyone. I can do it myself. I can do it better myself. And of course, in my life and my own, just lived experience, it's like, well, actually, that's not really true. It's actually really, it is very much an important thing for me to have my life be witnessed by other people, and to feel like I belong somewhere, and to feel like I can also have capacity and extend capacity to friends who, when they need it. And I think that there's something really beautiful about that. I think that we can't, at least my experience, and maybe you can redirect me if you don't agree. I think I had to get it right in my own body first. Like, I think I had to get the exercise. I had to get the nutrition. I had to get all that stuff right by me first. And then once I sort of felt like, okay, I feel settled in my own meat sack, now I can start extending an olive branch to other people or extending and giving more of myself because I just didn't have any capacity personally when those things weren't in order for me. Do you find the same thing, or do you think that it's like, no, don't wait until that, like just start getting into community? What are your thoughts on that?
I would say, my through line would be to start getting into community, because I find that gentle connection and accountability from friends can help us move the needle to movement, to eating metabolically healthy foods, to really preserving our sleep and again, regulating that nervous system. So I think friendship has its beautiful place. And I think it just depends on how we were brought up. I was brought up that there's a lot of proof in my life, especially as a child, that no one's coming to save me, that I've got to do it all myself. And I fall into that pattern a lot, even though I have so many beautiful friendships and connections. But even in my business, if my team is overextended and I really want something, I'm like, I'll just go do it.
Right.
So my team is constantly like, Mariza's an island, over there. And I desperately need the connection with my friends to just feel sane, to feel like what I'm going through is normal. I can't tell you how many times I'm at a dinner party with a bunch of perimenopausal women and someone's like, can you hand that thing over there? And I'm like, oh, your water? Because
I knew what you were trying to say.
I know what you're like always, everyone's finishing each other's sentences because no one remembers the thing. I mean, the lack of word recall is so real. But I would say check in with yourself. Do you feel like you need to be fully resourced to show up for the friends and to have those conversations? Or do you find that your friendships really allow you to be resourced so that you step into those beautiful habits? It's probably a yes and for many of us. I know one of my best friends, she just moved down the street. She is one of my workout buddies. We work out multiple times a week together. She's also my book bestie. We're reading, it's when we're recording this, we're stepping into fall. I know it's more fall for you than it is for me in San Diego. And it's a very witchy season in my life right now, girl, besides the fact that I've got a book coming out. And so we are reading a bunch of witchy fall books together, because that's what we do. And we're comparing and connecting about the books that we're reading. And we're also doing PR. We're doing our personal bests on, at the gym. We're hitting our PRs. And so it's really nice to get to do that together. And we go on walks, we put our feet in the ocean. Like, I'm so grateful for her. And I also just get a daily little update on what she's got going on, which is so wonderful. And so I think it can be a yes and, but I will say if you don't know this or you haven't been feeling this recently, we are wired for connection. We are wired for just, especially women, to feel connected, to feel supported, to feel seen, as you said, and to feel belonging. And particularly in perimenopause, where society shames and blames us for what we're going through, if there was a time to double down on connection, the time is now. Because we know that loneliness, increases chronic conditions, can drive further symptoms, and can reduce our quality of life, and also can increase mortality rates earlier. So premature death is associated with loneliness and isolation.
Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about sleep. I know this is a really big topic for you as well.
Yes.
I think it becomes a big issue for many women in midlife when they're like, oh yeah, I can't sleep well anymore. Or you get a really good night's sleep and you're like, whoa, is this what it used to be like?
So good.
Talk to us a little bit about what are some of the changes that we might experience in midlife in terms of sleep. And then again, action strategies. What are some ways that we can improve our sleep when we feel like we've lost it?
Mm-hmm. Stephanie, gone are the days where I can get less than 7 hours of sleep and function. Sleep will make or break me. And I think a lot of women feel that same way, that when we're only getting 5, 6, maybe less than 7 hours of sleep, we really struggle in our day. And it has a lot to do with the hormones that are declining, right? We know that we're going through this profound neuroendocrine shift, as we talked about earlier. But most importantly, we know that the areas of the brain that regulate sleep and our circadian rhythm, those hormones are vastly altering that area of the brain, to the point that over 67% of women will struggle with sleep issues. Now, for some of us, it could be cyclical. So you may find that you're sleeping okay in the follicular phase of your cycle. And then you get to the luteal phase of your cycle and you're just like, all hell broke loose. Like, what is going on? And so it's important to be paying attention to, if you are struggling with sleep issues, is it cyclical? Is it happening at different times of your cycle? Once you're in late peri, where you're skipping periods, is it more consistent? I think that type of data can really be helpful. But I will say that having a good sleep foundation is critical. I know you and I are dear friends with Dr. Kristen Holmes, and she talks about sleep consistency all of the time as the through line for getting that deep, restful, quality sleep. Gone are the days where we can just race into bed and fall asleep. Like, I know we all desire and crave our 20s in that way, where we could just go from college classes, late night studying, to just falling asleep and then getting back the next day and feeling okay. So we have to be really intentional about our sleep routine. And I always say, protect your sleep routine like it is $1 million meeting, because it is. There's nothing that you could be doing past 10 o'clock that is worthwhile unless it is $1 million meeting. Like, I just don't, no Netflix show, no conversation with your partner is going to move the needle like sleep is going to move the needle for you. And so I would say, understand what a good bedtime is for you and be consistent with that. So go to bed at the same time every single night, 7 days a week, and get up at the same time every single morning, 7 days a week. And then within that hour, get some morning sunlight. We are diurnal beings. We're supposed to be out in sunlight during the day. It's supposed to be dark at night. That's how we're built. And the more consistent you are with that sleep routine, that sleep consistency, you will notice over the course of the next 10 days, 7 to 10 days, you will start to experience another, like a new sleep cue. You will have that urgency to actually go to sleep, that cue to go to sleep. And if you are still struggling, I would say it's time to bring in some sleep aids. Start with magnesium glycinate, L-theanine, 5-HTP, some nice gentle supplements. Have a good sleepy tea. There's some, what is it? Mama's Little Helper, or one of those, I forget, there's a couple different sleep teas that will just knock you the F out. You know what I'm saying? And so build those into the routine. And if you're noticing that it's cyclical, even in perimenopause, consider bringing in oral micronized progesterone. Cycle in that oral micronized progesterone. And I will say, I know there's a lot of discussion or discourse around continuous use of oral micronized progesterone versus cycling oral micronized progesterone. And I would say, do what is best for you. Currently, I'm cycling it because I noticed that my sleep issues are mostly in the luteal phase of my cycle. So oral micronized progesterone is a game changer for mood, for stress, for sleep. But if there comes a time where my sleep is inconsistent throughout my entire cycle, I am probably going to move to a more continuous dosage. So those would be some recommendations I recommend. But again, I think a lot of us, be very honest with yourself about your sleep routine and your sleep consistency. And if that needs to get cleaned up, clean it up first before we really bring in a bunch of sleep aids.
Yeah, there's been a couple times where I've had just the most glorious sleep, and I'm like, is this how it used to be? Did I always just sleep like this? And so I still sleep very, very well, but there's a couple of it'll happen like once, I don't know, like every 2 weeks or once a month, where I'm like, wow, that was like I feel like I can take on the world. If only I could do that every single day, I would be unstoppable. So I think that dialing in your sleep routine is certainly one way. It's the easiest thing that can move. Like, all you got to do is put your phone away like 15 or 20 minutes earlier,
And for some of us, I always say, I think about my son's sleep routine that starts in the bath, which is literally almost an hour before lights are off. And that's what we need to all go back to that. And I'm not saying you need to take a bath, but once Kingston's asleep and he's literally, lights are off at 8, he's usually fully asleep at 8:15. I have about a half hour before my routine starts. So my routine usually starts at 8:45, 9 at the latest. I want lights off at 10 p.m. And it starts with supplements. I take a lot of nighttime supplements, I'm not going to lie. And that's because that's my individual need. So I'm usually taking my omegas, I'm taking magnesium glycinate. There's a couple different things that I'm taking at night before going to bed. But that tells my body, oh, she's gearing up. She's getting ready. And then I fill up my emotional support water, because gosh forbid I don't have that at bedtime as well. Yeah. And once the door in my bedroom is shut, because Alex and I are sleep divorced. I'm just going to say it. That's where we're at. And, someone's sleeping with Kingston. It's usually Alex. So we co-sleep with Kingston. We, as in my husband. And then I'm in the big bed by myself in my room. And once that door is shut, don't you dare walk in the door for anything. Like, even if he has to grab some underwear, I'm like, why didn't you do that before I shut the door? Like, I mean, I really preserve. And again, everyone do what you got to do, make it work. But there's no TVs, there's no screens in the bedroom. I have books by the bed that I'm rotating, and I wash my face, I brush my teeth, I do all those things. The lights go dim. We have blackout curtains all over the room. I have an amber, not fully amber, but kind of amber light that I'm reading by. And then I usually feel the sleep cue around 9:45, 9:50. Lights are off by 10:05. And so I have about a 15-minute window every night where lights are off. And then I wake up like clockwork at 6 or 6:15 every morning.
Nice. Yeah, for me, it's been what I always found easier was a morning routine. I always found that easier. It's like go to the gym and then come home and have breakfast. But I think in recent years, for me, it's been actually developing a skincare routine. So I'll do a more, like in the morning, it's just, moisturizer, sunscreen, done. But in the evening, it's like, all right, now I'm going to put this serum on. Now I'm going to do this gua sha. Now I'm going to wrap my hair up in leggings, and I'm going to do my serums. And so there's, I can do a bit more of an elaborate kind of beauty routine, which is, makes me feel good.
Yeah,
makes me
and
feel
it's paying off, girl. It is.
You're too kind.
You look
You're too
gorgeous.
Kind. I will Venmo you the money for that. Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's going to be the soundbite.
Yeah, but that's my cue as well, right? It's like, okay, it's skin routine and hair routine time. And that sort of takes me about 30, 45 minutes. And then, I have a theory, the uglier you go to bed, the prettier you wake up. So
I love it.
I look completely hideous as I'm going into bed, but I have the mouth tape, I have the fuzzy socks, I have my hair in leggings, I have all my serums and my masks and everything. And that's my evening routine. And that's a way for, at least for me, to anchor. Okay, so now it's like 30 minutes ish where I'm getting ready to go to bed. So by the time I am ready, even though I am doing that under lights, even though I'm, when I'm done, I'm pretty much ready to go to bed. Like I take, when I look at my...
once you put your tape on your mouth, you're pretty much good.
I'm ready to go. Yeah, I'm not talking anymore.
I have dim lighting in the bathroom too. We have regular lighting and then dim lighting in the bathroom. Yeah. So we have multiple lights. And I'm also I'm curious, Stephanie, I love to set my future self up for success. So if I'm going to get to the gym, let's say sometimes I get up at 5:45 and I'm in the gym by 6:15. I have all my clothes laid out. I have my water downstairs by the door. I have the keys by the door. I have basically everything. So I can, from waking up to being out the door, I can do that in less than 15 minutes because it's all laid out.
That's fantastic.
And so I love that because I know my son loves, when he wakes up, he wants to see me. And so that means I have a very small window. Usually he's up at like 7:15. Like I need to be in the gym and out of the gym within 40 minutes, give or take. And then I'm home so that when he wakes up, I'm there. And so, because that's just the season that I'm in. Like I want to work out in the early morning, but I also want to be there for my son when he wakes up. And so whatever I can do to create efficiency in my morning, I usually set myself up to win the night before because it's really, it takes me 10 minutes to set myself up for the morning. I even have my protein coffee, my Dr. Stacy Sims protein coffee in the fridge, ready to go. Like I just grab everything and I'm out the door.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I think, there's all these little tips. Like I've really, as we've been talking, you've been so generous with a lot of these little actionable strategies because I think people just need examples. It's like one thing to say we need sleep and it's like, okay, I get it. I need sleep, or I get it. I need to drink more water. But how
do we do it?
Yeah, but how do we do it?
And
so I
as
think,
moms in perimenopause who are running careers and have kids, like how do you actually do it? And that's why this book is my love letter to you because it is the literally how I'm in it with you. It's the how I'm making it happen. And I'm not going to lie, there are some days where I'm barely pulling it off, but I'm pulling it off.
Right.
And I think that's important. And I think what's more important than anything is your non-negotiables. What are the 3 non-negotiables that you are not willing to part with? For me, it's that sleep routine and making sure that I get deep, restful sleep because I want to show up for the people and the mission that I am committed to that mean the world to me the next day. And if I don't get the good sleep, I'm not going to be able to do it. Number 2, it is moving my body in a meaningful way because the benefits, my body craves movement. Like I am not who I need to be, again, if I don't move, and ideally that's lifting weights, but sometimes it's just exercise, snacks, and walking, like getting where I fit in. And number 3, it is voice memoing my besties. Like I have to have that. I woke up this morning, I had 3 or 4 voice memos from my friends and I'm just like, I cannot wait to listen to these. I cannot wait. And so those are my non-negotiables. Obviously eating metabolically healthy foods is really important, that is very much That's just who I am. I've been doing that for so long, I don't even think about it. But those 3 things are extremely intentional, and I make sure that they go down.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I love them. I have to define my 3 non-negotiables. I would probably say for me, it's like a cute gym outfit, because if I have a cute gym outfit, that's directly proportional to how hard I'm going to work out at the gym.
I love it.
But yeah, I would say, I mean, gym for me is like, it's my lifeline. Sprinting and lifting heavy weights is like, stay fast, stay strong, stay powerful. But yeah, I think that's actually a really good exercise for me to do as well. It's like 3 non-negotiables. I got 1.
You got 1, which is a big one.
A cute gym outfit, which leads to better outcomes at the gym. But I got to think about those other 2. But in the meantime, tell us where we can find the book. Tell us where we can find more about you. And is there a program? Like, tell us a little bit about the book. You said it's a love letter to women in perimenopause. Tell us where we can find the book and all the good things about it.
Yeah, so I want women to know that this book is built on action. It is built on wins. I want you to feel like a different person in 7 to 10 days. That is what I want for you. I'm telling you right now, if you just commit to exercise snacks every single day, you will be a different person in 7 days. If you commit to a evening routine and treat that sleep routine like it's $1 million meeting, you will be a different woman in 7 days. If you create more community for yourself, same thing. So it is built around you experience wins, because goodness knows it's the one thing I want to give every single woman is I want them to feel like they're winning, because they have more confidence, they've got more joy, and they're more motivated to keep it up. So whether that is the cute gym outfit, like go to Viore today. Okay. Like do what you got to do. Like get the thing that's going to move the needle for you in a meaningful way. The book is chock full of that. So 3 things you'll get from the book. 1, you're going to know if you're in perimenopause. You're going to understand how your symptoms are connected to your future health outcomes. You're going to have the pillars and the science-backed research, like to move the needle in those pillars, including hormone replacement therapy. And then there is a 5-week program that puts it all together, including the mindset. This is so important. We've got to reframe how we think about this time, because you are rewriting your midlife story. You are stepping into the most powerful chapter of your life on your terms, with your discernment and your intention. And I have the juiciest questions that you get to ask yourself so that you are living the life that you were always meant to live. And that is stepping in to this new, beautiful chapter of your life. And then I've got workout videos. I've got workout plans. I've got exercise snack videos. I've got core workouts all built in. I was in a gym recording for days so that I can just meet you where you're at to get started. And then I've got recipes and meal plans and symptom trackers and lab guides, anything and everything, wherever you want to start, morning routine, evening routines, it's all built in. So even if you get this book before it's out and available, all those bonuses are built so that you can get started today. Because I don't know about you, Stephanie, when I decided that I am making a decision about my health and wellness, now is the new later. I am ready now. Like if I don't have the now things, I'm a little pissed. So I want to make sure you have everything you need to get started, that you don't have to wait for this book. You can get the bonuses and start changing your health trajectory today.
Fantastic. And we will make sure that there's a link in the show notes for everybody to follow along. And of course, your Instagram, and we'll have all your details as well, so people can find you.
If you want to giggle about Peri, come to my Insta at Dr. Mariza. The book bonuses is drmariza.com/book.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, your energy, your focus today. I know this is going to be very valuable to our community.
Thanks, love.
Welcome to the after party, where I tell you what I really thought of this episode. And of course, the after party is my moniker for menopause, because that's where we all are going to end up, and we all want to be invited to the after party. And of course, here you are in the after party of this podcast. So I thought that Mariza did a really good job overall of really inviting us in to, here are the first really important steps that you need to make as a woman who is probably mid to late 30s, early 40s, not kind of sure if you're in perimenopause or not. These are the things that we really need to solidify and sort of get in order to navigate the journey ahead, whatever that journey might be. Now, Mariza has been very candid about her struggles in perimenopause. She's mentioned them on podcasts before. She mentioned them briefly in our conversation in terms of like her brain health and some of the things that she's overcome in perimenopause, and having a child when she was 41. Of course, that's a huge. I have a suspicion that is a huge. My best Donald, like huge. That's my best Donald Donald Trump impression, huge portion of our community in terms of like, yeah, women are having kids later in life. And sorry, I apologize. I can't do any impression well. So that's, but I think that there's a lot of women that have had children later in life and don't actually know, what is it? Is it perimenopause? Is it postpartum? Is it both? So I think that, Mariza, that's her lived experience, right? She had a child when she was 41. And really got hit hard with, she had a couple of confounding things, Hashimoto's and a few other things happened to her that made perimenopause very difficult. And so these were some of her lifesavers. And I think that they can potentially be lifesavers for you as well, especially when we're in this era of like infobesity. I know I keep coming back to that, but there's so many people talking about the same thing in different ways. And what can end up happening is you have women that are literally spending their time trying to figure out like who's right rather than actually doing anything. Right? So you're like, are oats bad? Are oats good? Let me try and read the science. And then instead they don't do any, like they don't have oats or they do have oats or whatever. So I think that this was a really good conversation for that. I definitely loved the conversation at the beginning around postpartum and perimenopause and the overlap between those things, the movement snacks, the bone density discussion with jumping and impact, and some of the things that she does, like the jack squats, the jump squats, the switch lunges, and these 20, doing 20 of them in a minute. I think that that's accessible to everybody. Maybe if you have joint issues or hypertension, you can certainly just do a body weight squat. You don't have to add the jump in there. Like the jump definitely adds an element of intensity. Loved the nothing is wrong. That is it's such a simple little moniker, but it can be very powerful in moments where you do feel like a lot is wrong. Or like the dishwasher has not even been unloaded yet and I have so much laundry or oh my God, I forgot the laundry and now the laundry smells moldy and I got to do it again. And the kitchen always looks like people live here. Why can't I just live in a house that looks like nobody lives in it? So I think that moniker, like nothing is wrong, I really like that. I actually wrote that down in my notes. And then the sleep and the community conversation. Of course, sleep, very, very important. You've heard me talk about that before. We've had sleep experts on the show. Treating sleep like it's $1 million meeting, I think is a really great way to reframe something that we can always just like, oh, just one more episode. Oh, I just want to binge this Netflix series, like just one more episode. And then that episode's like 35 minutes, 40 minutes. And then now you're 35 or 45 minutes sort of, quote unquote behind when you should have been getting ready. So I do like that treat the sleep like it's $1 million meeting. I thought that was really great as well. And the 3 non-negotiables. I'm curious for you, Betty, what are your 3 non-negotiables? I got one so far. It's my cute outfit because I know that it is directly proportional to the effort that I'm going to put in at the gym or on the track. And I'm going to define my next 2, but I'd love to know yours. So let me know when you leave a rating or a review on this podcast, if you feel like it is worthy of your time to do so. I would love to know what your 3 non-negotiables are for your season in midlife. So with that, I bid you adieu and we'll see you next time.